So I would go to my project area. Here's my project list. I click on the project and it drops me right into the project admin for members, which also has a member area. For your company, if you added all your users to the account, does that mean all your users end up in every project? No. Maybe you've got departments in your account, maybe surveying, maybe mechanical design, and they're all going to have different projects. So we're not giving carte blanche access to anything. So what does that mean? It's what I would call a zero trust environment. You don't get access until I explicitly give it to you. So even though you're sort of in the building as an account member, I haven't given you access to the project just yet. So I can add that member, right? I can click add members. And there's my member, my account member. So once I type the email, I have to click enter down here. And now they're almost ready to get added. Notice it filled in the company and role for me, reading that from the account. I can change aspects here before I send an invitation. This is a bit of a misnomer. Sending an invitation doesn't mean they have to accept it. As soon as I click this button, they're part of the project. The invitation is just simply a notification that they've been added. And just like that, I now have a second member to this project. Pause a second. Let's go back to the account and look at members. And now we can see the status of that member is active. So there's the purpose of that particular column. You may have added account members out of the gate when you first set this up, but after 3 months, 3 years, whatever, you realize that they're not actually in any projects. So at that point, I probably would take them, revoke their access, and because they don't need the license. So I'm going to save some money, pull them off the platform, and give their license to somebody else that might need it. So just a quick update there on the status column. Let me jump back into the project here. So subtle difference there between account members and project members. Typically, the question would then be, does a project member have to be an account member? The answer to that is no. That's where our external stakeholders come into play. So maybe my surveying team is actually an external company altogether. So in that case, when I go to click add members, and again, I'm using a fake persona here, it's not going to recognize that person, right? It's an email address, that's fine. But when I go to click enter, right, there's nothing, it doesn't know the name or anything. So I'm going to leave these default names here for the moment. It's simply reading that from different sources. This would be, we'll call it surveyors. What am I saying? Something like that. I get a chance to set up their company. I hit add. What is their role? Now, I can't create a role like I did a company. In this, it's got to be in the list already. So at the moment, I'm going to leave their role blank, and I'll hit send invitation. There we go. So there is my second student. They are active, but their role is not yet there. So let me open the account here for a moment, go back to my roles. Here's where I would add surveyor. Let's do field surveyor. If I could type correctly, let's try again. Field surveyor. There we go. And now when I go back to that role, to refresh the page, sorry. And let's make this column a little wider. There we go. There's my field surveyor. So there is some back and forth as you start to build out your first handful of projects. That's just going to be part of the process. All right, so some nuance there between adding members. Now, if I'm adding a member that's outside my company, I'm not giving them a license. They have to bring their own license. So when that person logs in to the project, they'll either be in a trial mode or maybe their trial's expired, and then they'll just have to buy a license to actually do anything inside the project. And that's typically how this works. So that whether they're invited to work on a project for us or for another firm, or they work for 10 different firms, right? They use their own license, that one single license everywhere. Which brings me to permissions and subscriptions and roles in general. So I've briefly talked about roles and how they can help standardize permissions and how to create this list. But in the project, where does that actually take effect? The first thing is this docs column, right? We want to make sure we give them access to docs in the project. So if I look at my user here, right, I've enabled docs for them. And so again, I'm not assigning permissions or products necessarily from this particular account. He's pulling his own license. All right, so what about permissions? I've given them access to the project. What can they do? Well, at this point, nothing. So from my module selector, let me go to docs right there. And this is, again, just a sample folder structure. If I come to the top here, right click and go to permissions, I can see who has access to this root level. And if I pick on a particular folder, I can see that no one's gotten access to anything. So as I add people, and I'll do this in sort of a simple way, I can add a name, I can add an email address, a role, or even a company. So I can add everybody in different methods. So maybe my architect, right? My prime architect's company, I'll add, but at the root level, I'll just allow them to view. But if I come down here to drawings, maybe they can edit. So you can pick and choose how that happens. I can even add the role architect. You saw that pop up there as well. So I can add a role to a folder. So that's the basic idea about permissions. I see a question there and would each staff member added to the account have to have their own subscription to Docs? Being added to the account does not require a license. Doing something in the platform requires the license. Adding a person to the account means they have an Autodesk account. If they don't have an Autodesk account, then they're invited to create one, right? Those are free out of the box. Now, as far as the license, the subscription to Docs, for folks that have the AEC collection, those folks have access to Docs. That is an entitlement inside of that collection. For folks that don't have the AEC collection, yes, they would have to individually purchase a seat subscription, an individual seat subscription to Docs. Those types of folks tend to be project managers, again, general people that aren't in CAD on any level, where people in the AEC collection would typically be your CAD users. Just trying to think. Is there another example to that? No, that's pretty much it. That's usually your divider. It's either a CAD user or a non-CAD user. So the non-CAD users would need their own individual access subscription. So I'm certainly not the salesperson for pricing, but I do know they come in packs so that there's a quantity discount at different levels. What those levels are, again, we would have to pass that on to the sales folks. But the idea, though, is that person that's doing the reviewing, maybe even marking up, providing feedback in general, the cost for Docs is much lower than even giving them a seat of AutoCAD, so they could do the same thing. Because everything that happens in the browser, they don't need to install anything. They don't need to learn a piece of software, or in most cases, remember what they forgot about using the software. So that's sort of the short and sweet on the licensing aspect.